Hi, I am Daniel, and in this video today, I'm going to be telling you guys about my English learning process. I have always been fascinated about English language. Since I was a little kid, I was watching those movies and listening to those songs, and I was always thinking to myself, I want to understand what I'm listening. I want to understand what these people are talking about in these movies. And since then, I had always this strong thought in my head, I will speak English. And it all started when back in the year of 2000 or probably 2001, as far as I can remember, one of my sisters, because I have three, she was studying college, and at that time she was studying Portuguese language and English language. And I remember that she was rehearsing a song called Milk, Toast, and Honey by Roxette, and she had to present this song at her college. And whenever she was listening to this song in our house, she was singing the song many times, in a row. And I was always paying attention to her, and I was thinking, this song is so cool. And I already had that thought, I already had that feeling that I wanted to learn English. And watching my sister just rehearsing that song gave me a strength to keep on going with what I was planning to do, that was learning English. And I remember that whenever she was practicing this song, I was like, I love it. I want to that's right, I want to speak English, And through this music and seeing my sister doing that, I promised myself that I was gonna speak English. So what I did was, do you remember this thing here? Probably today we don't have it anymore, or if we have, we almost don't, we barely use it, right? So I'm 35 years old, so when I was a little kid, we used to have this kind of thing to listen to music. And I remember that my sister got, I think, the CD of this song, and then I took this tape and then I recorded in a machine that we had in my house. And when my sister was gone, when she was when she was at college, I used to put this song and play it over and over and over. And what I did was I took a paper and a pen, and I just listened to the song and wrote it down on the paper. And it was not even English, because I was writing it down the way that I hear the words, the pronunciation. And I remember that I kept doing that every single day and many times in a day, in a row. And I kept doing it and singing along and repeating the songs and repeating the lyrics. And I remember that every single day I used to do that. And when the song ended up, I would go back again and listen to it again. And then it ended up, I go back again and listen to it again. And at that time, I was probably 13, 14 years old. And I was practicing that song a lot. And I wrote it down like, milk and toast and honey, make it sunny on a rainy Saturday. But at that time, I was writing it down just like I used to do in Portuguese, writing it down with the sound in Portuguese. The sound was exactly like in English, but I would write it down the way that I heard. So it would help me. It helped me actually to how to pronunciate, with the pronunciation of the lyrics. And I think it's incredible, because if you want to do something in your life, it doesn't matter what. If you go for it and if you work hard, you will get it, because I always had this thought of how to learn English. And I have learned English through this music, and just watching my sister doing that and rehearsing that song to present in her college gave me like an idea. This is very cool and I want to learn it. And through that, because I had that feeling of doing that, today I can communicate with the whole world. And then after that, I thought, okay, if I did it with this song, I can do it with others. So I started to look for other songs, and I used to put my ear very closely to the radio station. And then when it was, they were playing some songs, love songs or any other songs that they were playing on the radio, I would take the pen and I would take my notebook. I would write it down in just the way I hear, and then start to repeat. And then after that, I started to buy CDs, international CDs, and started to sing along with the lyrics, and that's the way that I learned English. Also, after that, I said, okay, now it's one step beyond. I have already learned with music, so now I'm gonna start learning with television. So I started to watch movies with the subtitles in English and the audio in English. And then after practicing it a lot, I started to cutting off the subtitles and just with the audio to see if I could understand what people they were talking about. And of course, it took me a time to do that because every person learns things in different ways and in different time. So I just wanted to share with you guys this subject because it's something that really makes me very happy about. Because when I started to learn English and that I can communicate with any person now, I feel very happy, and I feel very happy because you can go everywhere in this world if you know how to speak English. Another thing that I used to do that helped me a lot was that I have a lot of nephews and a lot of nieces because I have 6 brothers and I have 3 sisters. So most of them they have kids. So I have a lot of nephews. Anyway, and my oldest nephew, I remember when he was little and when he was a child, my sister gave him a CD, international CD, as a gift. And this CD is from a couple of singers, of Brazilian singers. But these Brazilian singers, they recorded a CD in English. And I used to go to my sister's house to listen to this CD with my nephew every single day. And I would take the CD, the paper with the lyrics, and I used to listen to the songs and at the same time to repeat and to write the songs, just looking at the lyrics and repeating them down on a paper. And I think in this CD they had probably 14 tracks, 14 different musics. And I used to take all the musics and listen to them and writing down. Because doing this, you practice writing, you practice listening and speaking at the same time. So for me, music is the key, is a very good way. It's a fantastic way of how to speak another language, not only English, but if you plan on learning other language, you can learn through music. It helps a lot. And after that, I was not done. I said, I'm not done yet. I used to go on the internet, and at that time, the year was 2004. It was the time that in my city they started to have internet. And then I used to go on these websites and look for people to go chat online. And I met people from the Netherlands, people from the United States, and I became, virtual friends with these people to practice English. And through that, I made a very strong friendship with a girl from the US. Today we don't talk anymore because our lives changed, and we started to talk on the internet. And then I started to talk to her family, and we switched letters to each other. I used to write letters and send to the US, and she used to write letters and send me here in Brazil. I still have her letters today. We have not met in person yet, and I don't know if this is gonna happen someday, but who knows. And after that, after learning with music, this was another step that I took to learn talking to native speakers, because it's very important when you talk with native people, because your brain will force you to talk to them because they don't know your own language, your native language. So the only chance you have is to force yourself to talk to them in English. And I made a lot of mistakes, but it worked. So today I'm here talking in English, and I can communicate with everyone, and all of that thanks to everything that I have been through, learning with the music, putting my ear very closely to the radio and practicing it a lot, finding these people to talk to them and watching those movies over and over. And also I used to go to the library of my city and take a lot of books in English and read them down. And I remember that in these books, back in the last page, they had a CD. You could put them on on the machine and listen to them in the audio too, and you would practice it, and that was fantastic. I know a lot of people, they ask me, Daniel, what is the key to learn a language? You know what I have to tell you, there is no rule. It's not a rule to be followed, because everybody has a time, everybody has a limit, you know. Some people learn fast, some people take time to learn, and it's not mandatory to learn the way that other people learned, you know. Everybody has its own way to learn things. I have learned English with music, through music, movies, and talking to people. But you can learn, I know people who learn English, you know, playing video games. So everybody has different ways of learning, and there is no a magic key or a special way to learn. But what I can assure you, what I can tell you for sure, is that music helps a lot, because music it's fun, you know. Everybody likes music. Come on, music it's fun. You can learn English, you can learn a language, you know, doing something that you like. Okay, what do I like to listen to? I like to listen to pop music. So, you know, search for pop music in English so that you can, you know, relate to. I like romantic music, I like romantic songs. So try to find romantic songs so that you can learn through them. And I like movies. Oh, I like to talk to people. And you know, today technology has advanced. You know, technology is way advanced. And at that time, when I started to learn English, we didn't have smartphones like this. We didn't have cell phones like this. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have internet. Like today, you have your phone on your hands. You can put on Google Translator, and of course, sometimes you're gonna translate something on Google. It's some words they are the opposite, but you can understand them. You know, you can understand. You know the sense of the sentence in general. Sometimes you will speak a sentence and one word is makes no sense, but it doesn't matter. What matters is the context. In general, you will understand, and you can travel the whole world with your cell phone. And if you don't know how to speak to people, you can put on Google Translator and show them. This reminded me of a time when I was working at a hostel, and a guy from Russia, he was coming to this hostel, and the owner told me, "You're the only one here who speaks English, so you're gonna talk to this guy when he comes here." I said, "Okay." So when this guy came for me to do his check-in, I said, "Okay, do you speak English?" And then I started to have a conversation with him in English, and he was like, "Please stop. I speak very little English. I don't speak English that much." And then he took his phone and he put on the Google Translator, and we started to talking to each other I was talking to him in Portuguese and he was talking to me in Russian. Because he put on the Google Translator, he would speak and he used to show me, and then on the screen it would appear for me, it would show me the translation of what he was saying in Portuguese. And the same, you know, I was saying things in Portuguese for him and showing him, and in the screen he would read things in Russian. So today technology is way more, is way advanced. You can travel anywhere. But even though it's very good when you learn how to speak a language, so you feel secure with yourself to go to a place and you talk to people, and you don't have to have a perfect English. That's another thing that I tell people. You don't have to worry how to speak a perfect English, how to speak in a perfect grammar, rules. Because if you think too much about that, you will, close your mind and you will be afraid of how to communicate with other people, because you will be always wondering, am I speaking correct all the time? Did I say this verb on the right time? No, just say it. Of course, it's very important for you to speak in a good way, in a good vocabulary. If you're a teacher, you have to know how to speak very properly when you are in front of your class. But then in your day routine, when you are in the street, that's what I always tell people. For example, I want to travel to USA, or I want to go to Canada or any other place. I want to go to Argentina or any other countries. I love the world in general, people. What I want to do, I want to go there and say, okay, I saw like people selling hot dogs in the streets. What I want to do is, okay, how much is the hot dog? Okay, and then you start a conversation with that person. And then it doesn't matter if I spoke with the perfect grammar vocabulary. What matters is if you speak and the other person understands you, and vice versa. And if they speak and you understand them. Again, it's very important to have a good vocabulary. But if you keep, stuck in those thoughts of I have to speak in a very perfect grammar all the time, you will be shy to talk to people. You will be asking too much from yourself, because you will be very hard to yourself. For example, I have okay, I'm gonna explain this better. I know lots of people who knows how to speak English, but they are afraid to talk to people because they are afraid of making mistakes. They are afraid of talking to people and not seeing the past. Is this I said, okay, did I say this in the good way? Did I say that in the according to the grammar? This is correct. If it's not correct, you're gonna learn. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. When you were born, what do? When you were a child, when you were 1, 2 to 5 years old, at that time you didn't go to school yet. So what do? You listen to your parents or people that are around you speaking. And then when you're a child, you will start to speak. And the first things they're gonna do, you're gonna speak wrong. You're gonna say the words in the wrong way. And then step by step, you start to build your vocabulary to talk to people. So it's the same when you are learning another language. You don't know the language. And then you're gonna make mistakes. For example, I remember when I was talking to a girl through Messenger. Do you remember? Today we use more another social medias, but at that time we were using Messenger. And I told this girl, I'll write you back, because we were talking, and I remember I went to have a glass of water or something like this, and I told her, wait a minute, I will write you back. And she started to laugh, and then she said, no, it's I will be right back. It was the opposite. And then I said, oh, okay, right. And then I just learned that I was saying the wrong thing. But then if I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna say this because I'm afraid I'm gonna say it wrong. No, just say it, and you're gonna learn it. And what I have seen and what I still see is a lot of people that they are afraid to talk because they're afraid of making mistakes. And also another thing, they are afraid of people laughing at their accent. There's no perfect accent. There's no right or wrong accent. I am from Brazil. I speak English like this because I have studied by myself. But it doesn't matter that everybody has to speak the way I do. We are different. Everybody are different from one another. If you are born in Russia, or if you are born in Canada, if you are born in Chile, you have your accent. If you are born in Brazil, every one of us have our own accent. So what I see in many people that I know personally, and they have told me this, they have told me, I am afraid to talk in front of people because I'm ashamed of my accent. It doesn't matter what accent you have, just speak. You have to be proud of your accent because it's your roots. That's where you came from. I'm very proud to be from Brazil. And it doesn't mean that because I speak English with this accent that every Brazilian should do the same. Everybody has different everybody has a different time of learning. If you're learning English, you should learn the language. If you're gonna speak with another accent or not, what it's important if people to understand you and for you to understand them, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't exist a perfect accent. It doesn't exist a perfect English. You just speak the language. When I was starting, in my teenage time, when I was a teenager, Some people, they were laughing at me, the way the way that I was speaking, the way that I was pronouncing the words, and I don't care. I didn't care. For me, I was very focused on what I was doing. What is my focus? Is to learn English. Okay, if I say, for example, water, or if I say water, it's the same thing. Can you give me some water? Okay. Can you bring me some water? It's the same thing. The accent is different, but what you meant, what you said, the meaning of what you say, or what you said is the same. So don't be stuck. Don't worry too much about this, because, like I said, a lot of people, they worry too much. They are ashamed. They're ashamed to talk in front of other people because other people will laugh at their accent. It's good to have an accent. It's like it's your identity. It's your identity. That's where you came from, and just speak. Put it out of your chest and speak. And then, what is your purpose? It's to learn another language. It doesn't matter your accent. What matters is if you speak another language. A big example of that is, I'm gonna tell you, I'm a crew member. I have worked in cruise ships for about 6 years now. And in the ship, we have probably, if I'm not wrong, we have more than 40 nationalities, different nationalities. Every nationality inside the cruise ship, we have different accents. So what matters is if I communicate with them, and vice versa. We don't worry if we are from India, if we are from Brazil, if we are from the Philippines. We have to speak English, with one another. And when I embarked on the ship for the very first time, in the year was 2016, when I went there and then I heard people from Argentina talking, people from Brazil talking, people from what is the other country? Indonesia, other places. I said, that's very cool. It's so cool to see a lot of cultures together, because there is no rule. If I want to say number, or if I want to say namba, if you understood me, that's okay. That's what matters. And please, if you're planning to learn another language, don't worry too much about that, because this is gonna make you feel very insecure. And we don't work with insecurities here. We just want to learn another language. Well, years have gone by and still I'm here speaking English, and I hope it lasts for a very long time in my life. And still I study a lot with music until this day, because it's never enough for you to get knowledge of something. It's never enough for you to learn new things. And every day I learn new things in English. I study with music, reading books. In the internet, we have a lot of content that helps a lot. So I think it's very important for you to be updating yourself with things. And YouTube is a very good way for you to learn another language, because you have music. And if you want to learn music, you can put the lyrics on YouTube. A lot of channels, they put music with the lyrics so that you can learn singing along at the same time. You don't have to do like I was doing before, putting my ear on the radio and writing it down. And you have movies, you have today you have podcasts, interviews. It's one thing that I love to watch interviews with the subtitles or without the subtitles. A lot of things. You have a lot of things on YouTube that can help you how to learn another language, whether it's English or it's Spanish or any other language that you are planning on learning. Okay, so this was not a little bit, but a lot of this story, because I was planning to do a short video, but I talk a lot. When I start to talk, I get very excited and wanted to say a lot of things. So I just wanted to share with you guys here a little bit about my experience of how to of learning English. And if you're planning to learn English, keep on going, keep focused on what you plan to do, you plan to learn, and that's it. And remember, it doesn't matter what language you plan on learning to. Any language that you plan on learning, it's it's worthwhile. But just remember that if you learn English, you can go everywhere in this world. Everywhere. You can communicate with every person. My name is Daniel, and it was a pleasure to record this video, and I hope you guys like it. Thank you for watching.